All right, Coach, go ahead and talk a little bit about the hiring at Chester, and then we'll line up for questions.
Great to see everybody. Hope everybody's enjoying a little sunshine today. Very, very excited to have Chester coming on board. This is a young guy that obviously all of you know, or most of you, from his playing days, and a guy that has accelerated his coaching career and his status in this profession. And he's been very blessed. He became an assistant coach at the Power 5 level at the age of 25, and has been in it 10 years. Been involved with some great coaches and a lot of success. And obviously, he's taken the formula that was his the way he played, his aggressiveness, his passion, and that has translated into the coaching world. And so it was very exciting for me. I've very much been looking for someone that's got a vested interest in Illinois basketball and helping us win championships. There was nobody better than him in my eyes in terms of his success, his ability to recruit, his ability to coach, motivate young people. We have a lot of the same qualities, and it's exciting to see somebody that has sweat equity in a program and now gets to come back. One of the great things that I take a lot of pride in as a coach was I got to spend some time back at my alma mater as an assistant coach and help elevate that program. And Chester's got that same feel, that same passion and drive, and it was very, very evident. I've got a tremendous amount of respect for Mike Young, and I know Chester's love for Mike was very evident, made it very difficult in this process. And Mike's an excellent coach, done a great job at Virginia Tech in his couple of seasons. And so we're excited to have him, and feel very, very fortunate to find somebody of his qualifications, and obviously a guy that loves the orange and blue, and has followed it really throughout his whole career. And so excited to have him on board, and it's a great day for Illinois basketball.
Hi, Coach. A lot of turnover on the staff here, in the off season, and it comes at a time when recruiting is kind of at the forefront, and the dead period's ending on June 1st. How have you approached this in terms of a seamless transition into still working on the same kids that Orlando and Chin were recruiting?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that is goes along with success. I think that Orlando and Chin, were fantastic in helping us build this, and side by side. I think the days of maybe coaches at this level, being in one place too long are over. They're either going to get head coaching jobs, or in this case, having to be Kentucky. But I think it's one of those situations. It's very unique. But I've always I pay as much attention to coaches and how they interact and who I like when I'm on the road. Our situation is obviously much different now than it was 4 years ago when we took over. So you're looking for the right fit. You're looking for the things that can help you grow at another level, and Chester's passion and obviously playing here and having the success he did was exactly what we were looking for.
Yeah, along those lines, if you could elaborate a little bit, is there, in filling these vacancies, or is there a specific profile that you're looking for? Are you looking for guys who develop players, or more for recruiters, or a little bit of both?
Yeah, all the above. I mean, our guys, you guys have been around me. Our guys are active in practice. They coach. I think that's I think that's one of the things that I demand from a staff, is that they're not just a recruiter. I think it's really important that I like them. I'm never going to hire a guy for a player or any of that. I think it's the relationship piece is a big part of our program. Doug, I think that was you saw that evidence of how that rubs off on our players and our locker room and our camaraderie and our culture. And I first and foremost, it's about finding the pieces that fit our culture. Yeah, then they've got to be able to do their job at both ends, and that's recruiting and coaching. So again, it was very, very evident that Chester was and is elite at both of those things. And the success that they had at Kansas State, the success that they had at Virginia Tech, and again, it doesn't take just one person; it takes everybody, and Chester was a big part of that.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Coach, good afternoon. Some of the guys on the previous staff, they spent a lot of time recruiting in lots of different areas across the country and even internationally in some of their cases. How important is it for you to have an assistant that isn't pigeonholing themselves into just one area with the connections and the relationships they have?
I think every coach that we talk to has got places that they feel comfortable. And you go and you recruit those areas, and you can find contacts in different parts of the world, different parts of everybody has had success in recruiting, or they don't get to this level, and they always have a little bit of a niche, whatever it is, but that'll continue. And Chester's got the people that he likes and knows, and our brand is extremely strong. That's one of the biggest changes in the last 4 years. Is our brand now has some meaning nationwide, worldwide, and I think that's something that we can continue to sell in all corners of the world.
You mentioned a little bit earlier, Chester having, quote, sweat equity in the program. How much do you think that can help him on the recruiting trail with his connections and his passion for this place?
If I'm any indication, and I know how it was with me, a lot. And he's a lot better. He's a lot better than I was in terms of the player, and he has tremendous passion for this place. And man, we sell passion. We demand it. So there's no doubt that will be a prominent piece of everything he does on the recruiting trail.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate it.
Hey, Coach, hope you're doing well. In these opening weeks of the job for Chester, what's been your guidance or direction? What do you want him to focus on, and what are you guys looking at here in these first few weeks of him being at Illinois?
Well, there's so many different things that have to happen when somebody takes over. I always worry first and foremost about his family and making sure that there's a house to sell, there's kids involved, there's a spouse, there's comfort, and yet you've also got a job to do, and that's contact with recruits. Today's world, he loves Mike Young. It's also making sure that the exit there is handled properly. But he's coming at a time when most of our guys are gone and out of town. Finals are wrapping up, so there won't be a lot of face-to-face with our guys at this point. But it's those will all be phone calls that'll have to happen, generating recruits, talking about the next level of recruits. And then as we move forward, we'll start talking continually about June, having unofficial visits. I think we've got, a timeline coming up here. We'll find out exactly what the summer recruiting looks like, but and we'll just continue to build from there. So it's not a one-ended thing. There's multiple things. It's very, very hectic for him at this point, and he's handling it great on a lot of fronts, from family to the recruiting and the getting to know the current players.
You mentioned the qualifications that you like at Chester and the vested interest. What else are you prioritizing as you work to fill out the rest of the staff?
Yeah, and I think it's guys who want to be and help Illinois win, and I think it's I look for the character piece a lot. I look at the familiarity with our program. I look at guys that are not just about, tons of calls about, I can bring this guy or that guy, or, and that I've got no interest in that. I've got guys that I know and that I like, and we'll communicate with those guys, and again, just try to evaluate how they fit our culture. And it's not just a random pull them out of a hat and this is the guy that comes. It's very selective. I try to keep it pretty close to the vest in this process, but again, it's got to be the right fit for Illinois, and people who want to genuinely help us win Big Ten championships.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Brad, those of us who watch Chester as a player probably aren't surprised you and him meshed philosophically. He's such a hard player, toughness. He's all about that everyday guy. How much did you know about that, or how quickly did that come through, and how important was that in bringing him on board?
Hey, damn, the half court handshake with Eric Gordon. Are you shitting me? I mean, he blasted that dude. You don't think that didn't fit with me? That's we're rocking right there now. No, that's those are the connections you've got to have. That's the vibe, and that's the when you're trying to put the right pieces together. You look for guys with that fire and that passion, and then you combine that with the orange and blue and the love for a university. And this is the day that the tennis and golf won Big Ten championships. He texted me, and I was following the golf on my phone, and he texted me that they'd won Big Ten championships. I mean, that's how much this guy loves orange and blue. And so yeah, and the personalities fit. He's a great defensive mind, and that fire and that passion are something that resonate with me a great deal.
What do you think he adds as a defensive presence, guy who excelled at the defensive level for your younger guys, and obviously even, DeMonte and Trent as they come back?
Yeah, I think he's a guy that understands it. He gets it. He's very dialed in on that end of the court. It's something that he takes a lot of pride in, and knows how important it is. He's been with guys, with coaches that have been very good there, yet he's willing to want to expand and do some different things, and has different ideas. And but at the end of the day, there's a toughness and a grit that is just something that resonates with him, and it does me, and it's why we had success this year. And he's great at it, and he passes that on to young guys as a way to really be effective as a coach.
Thanks, Brad.
Hey, Brad. If I'm right that this is sort of like a crossroads for you at Illinois, where at the same time you're moving on without your best couple players, and also having to rebuild the staff a little bit. Is that daunting? What is your disposition toward that challenge at this time? And in a greater context, is it just sort of harder to stay there than it is to get there once you raise a program like this?
I don't know. I did it at SFA. I don't, I believe me, the climb's hard. Everybody, we're going to find out. I think the one thing that you're doing is you're in a league with great programs, great coaches. People are always coming after you, and they have great players. And so, yeah, I mean, we're not going through any of this if we finished 8th or 10th, or, you guys are probably talking to somebody else, truth be told. It's the way the world's going to be with the transfer portal. It's the way the world's going to be when you get good. You better have pros, or you're not getting good. So I don't think that this is a crossroads. I just think it's the new norm, and players are going to come and go. at a rate. Good players are going to go pro, and coaches are going to move on when you're successful. Guys are going to become head coaches and move. I think if you have coaches, I'll be shocked in 3 years if Chester's not a head coach someplace. And I think that's the new norm, and I've accepted that. I'm ready to go with it. But I'd much rather be doing it from the position we were in, winning 16 games, than trying to do it from the bottom.
Is this the most transition you've had in an off season without leaving yourself, without going to a new job?
Yeah. And I think there's no doubt about that. And I've been pretty fortunate that way to only lose a guy here or there. But again, I get it. I try to always be prepared for that. I'm as observant as anybody on the road to guys that I think may fit. And I pay attention to that a lot, and start asking questions, so that I've always got a pretty good idea in terms of what direction I feel I need to go if I have those openings.
The resume for Chester is obvious in terms of the sweat equity that you were talking about, his love for Illinois. You could have known that before you ever met him. But when you sat down in front of him, what were some of the things you either wanted to hear or you wanted him to say that the connection's just got to be like that because the process is so quick?
Well, he's a guy that you have to be you have to be blind. You have to be incoherent, really, not to have his passion resonate. And you see that, and that was it's more than a job to him. And I think when we started talking basketball, we started talking recruiting. It matches with the success that the programs he's been involved with had. And I think the hardest thing to find in today's world is winners. Everybody can look great, if they've got a certain emblem on their left chest, but it doesn't mean they're a winner. And that winning has always followed Chester. And whether it was the 3 or 4 years here, they were in the tournament, and whether it was the Elite Eight run at Kansas State, the great success they had at Virginia Tech in a very short. Winning's hard to find, and you just don't. I don't take that lightly, and you started pairing that with his passion, and it was pretty obvious.
Can you give us any insight as to what the courtesy call was like when you made it to Mike Young, and was there like Mike's never been classified as anything but a classy guy, but was there like damn it, I knew this was coming?
No, I mean, it was, I told him I'd like to. He said nothing but the absolute right things and the best things about Chester, and then he did what anybody should do. He tried to fight for him, and again, that's the relationship and the respect and that those two have for each other. And Mike's a dear friend, and Tyler visited there out of high school, and so I've known Mike a long time, and I have so much respect for the job he does, and I'm sad for him because I know what Chester meant to him, and that he's losing a great coach and a guy that has become a great friend of his. So I feel for Mike.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it.
Hey, Brad, was Chester one of those guys on the road that you identified as maybe if the opportunity comes across down the line? And if so, do you remember what that was? Or I guess, how did you guys get into connect for this position?
No, Joe, I started paying attention to him because he was at Kansas State. And that's obviously my alma mater, a program that I followed, very, very closely. So, as you see a guy on the road, you communicate with him, you talk to him. And those things are great. And, you build a little bit of a relationship, but then when you start, seeing the continued success, and you start watching how they interact, and then you see him expand and grow and take on a new challenge at Virginia Tech with a guy like Mike Young. And now I know Mike, so I'm character-wise, I don't think we're a lot different. And now all of a sudden that fits and that works. And so it just is, it's one of those things that I paid attention very early to him, and kind of always watched out of the corner of my eye and watched his involvement in the success, and here we are today.
I know you said this is kind of the way that college basketball is, with changes happening, frequently for all programs. Was any part of this surprising to you, just given the timing of two guys at one time to the same place? Or I guess, when did this start to maybe become clear that there would be this kind of change for you?
I don't know what the date was. Sometime when I was on vacation, which pretty much means I got to redo that with my wife. But there's no time in today's world to really take a breath. 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was, this would be a time that, we knew what our rosters looked like, and we knew what things were much more settled. Things are much different today. So I'm not, Joey, I've come to the conclusion that always expect the unexpected, and I'm always going to be ready to roll with whatever comes, either way, in any scenario.
Thanks, Brad.
Brad, you mentioned, Chester getting that K-State job at 25. Just how do you think maybe, having to, maybe going from playing overseas into having to figure it out, D1 high major program, back to back, just maybe help shape who he's become as a coach?
I'm sure it had to impact him. I mean, one of the hardest things to do sometimes is transition from player to coach. But one of the things that was very evident, and when you talk to people around here, was his leadership qualities. You're talking about a guy who was an unbelievable leader and had so much respect from so many different players. And yet when you take on that coaching role and you have those innate abilities anyway to lead, those things become almost second nature to you. And, it's easy to see why he was very, very successful at a very early age.
I guess this is maybe the first time we've talked with you since the NCAA passed, the legislation for the one-time transfer. But I guess, maybe, how much have you seen that already impact recruiting before it became official, and what might it continue to do over the next couple of years?
Considering I spent 5 hours on a Big Ten Zoom this morning with league coaches, we don't have near enough time for that, Scott. I think that there's going to be so many unintended consequences that come out of this thing. It's something probably for a different time, but it's going to be the new norm. So it's more general manager right now than coach, and you're filling a lot of hats trying to put the best team together, and there's a lot of coaches out there doing the same thing.
Thanks, Brad.
Coach, in your first 4 years, you talked a lot about culture. You've said that word probably more than any other. And these two assistants that just left were the two that had been with you at the beginning. And over those 4 years, you built from 12-win team to 21 wins to a 1 seed, and you kept pointing back to that culture. It's built, it's building, we're getting there, we're building what we want. Does losing those two hurt as far as that culture? How do you maintain what you've been talking about with two guys who've kind of been there from the beginning leaving?
Sure. I would be foolish to say that those guys did a great job. I mean, they're terrific people, and it's not about just the players that they brought in, or the X's and O's that they did, or this scheme or that scheme, or that we talked about. It's overall, and it's having and adapting to my vision and the culture of our locker room and the personality, and we never compromised on character, and we back that up, and the locker room, and those guys are terrific human beings, and they fit perfectly to what we were looking for when we knew we had to change this and turn it. And so, absolutely, they're a big part of it. We're in a different place, but the one thing that I'm never going to compromise is what our culture is about. One of the big changes is now we're a little more player led. Okay, and coaches don't have to do it all. Having a Trent, DeMonte, Jacob Grandison, guys that have been through it, and those guys help establish with other players and the young guys, and so when we first got here, it was me coaching up a staff and a whole new team into what we were trying to do, and that doesn't happen overnight. But those guys were unbelievable. They're unbelievable human beings. They're going to be great friends for life, and I'm going to miss being around them every day, and not as coaches, but as people. And they all made me laugh, and we had fun, and that resonated through our locker room. And we're going to go out, and we made that step today with Chester and find guys that fit just like those guys do.
And in this transition period, do you lean on some of the other guys who are, still part of your program, just non-recruiting assistants, Joey Biggs or Jeff Alexander? Are you leaning heavily on them to, kind of carry that through?
Absolutely. Adam Fletcher, Paul Schmidt, our trainer, our academic people, everybody who touches our athletes is a big part of this. And do people have to step up in times like this? Absolutely. And they have. And that's the beauty of surrounding yourself with really good people who are very capable of doing their jobs and stepping in when they need to.
Brad, do you look for another assistant to complement Chester? Like, how do you put that together with your other opening right now?
No, absolutely. That's the primary goal is making sure that we're on the same page. You guys all know I like different players in the recruiting puzzle. I like that in the staff puzzle. And you go out and we had a Chicago piece, so to speak, with Chen and an EYBL coach, and then we had Orlando, with his Dominican descent and his New York ties, and Stevens is a small town Kansas guy and went to school on the West Coast. So you've got all different pieces, and I love that. And then you get them into mesh, and that becomes the beauty. I think is I don't want like pieces. I want guys that are different, and we'll find that with the other guy.
What's your timeline? How quickly do you hope to have another guy in there?
I don't have one. When we get it done, we'll announce it. I mean, it's a constant. We've obviously got some timelines coming up with unofficials being back up in June, and we'll see what the new recruiting calendar officially looks like, here in a few days. But we'll have guys in place by then. Where our guys are all gone. They're not around until I think the second week in June. So there's urgency, but there's not real urgency right now with guys gone.
And do you expect any more changes on your staff, whether assistants or support staff?
We'll see. Never know. Today's world, you never know.
Thanks, Brad.
Hey, Coach, a quick follow-up. In vetting the candidates to fill these openings, what kind of feedback are you getting from coaches around the country, and in terms of how desirable of a job it is, and how competitive of a budget do you have to fill out the staff?
Doug, the worst thing, and this is something that I don't like. I don't like not returning calls, not returning text messages, not returning emails. I literally have so much interest. There's no way. There's no way I could return them all. It's like I said, our brand has never been better, and I'm floored that the quality of people that have shown interest at all different levels, really, and all different ages. And so I'm very humbled by that. And but yes, we're acting like a top 10 program. There's no doubt about that.
Thanks, Coach.
Brad, Chester mentioned the style of play difference in his coaching career. Obviously, Bruce, tempo-wise, is a lot different than you. Obviously, Mike is a lot different than you. What made you think that that could work, or that would be a fit for you, that, you know, he could come in here and do the style of play that, and coach the style of play that you want with your program?
Yeah, we haven't been drastically different on the defensive side. You know, and I've always tried to adapt a little bit to what our team looks like. You know, we made some different changes with the arrival and but we talked through a lot of that in recruiting, and again,
Thanks, Brad.
he'll be fine there.
And Brad, just I'm curious for you, you know, as Chester kind of moves on to a new staff, how much should working for
College, whether it was style of play, your personality, and what it's your again, one of the attributes of Chester. I mean, he's won as a player, he's won as a coach, and I don't take that for granted. And you guys know it's been a big part of our recruiting over the years. And Open Turn this was recruiting guys that win, and that doesn't get near enough play in the recruiting game, in my opinion. But it's very important to me.
Hey, Brad, as Chester talked about loving your speed and talking about playing at a deliberate pace at Kansas State, which we were all expecting him to talk about, is, I don't know how to phrase this question, is his interest in learning new things a great sign? Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes, because I want to do the same thing. I mean, I say this all the time. I want a staff who challenges me, and I don't want to put myself in a box and just be that guy. To me, the game's not about that. I mean, I think every NBA team adapts every year. Trades are made, personnel changes. You've got different pieces. I love the makeup of what our team is right now. I think that that excites me. I think the ability to play fast. I think the ability to do some things differently on the defensive side excite the heck out of me. So I love people who aren't defined by just one thing. They've got the ability and desire to continually want to learn and change.
That wasn't cogently phrased. I'll try again. We think of him as a defensive guy.
Yeah.
And so we think of him as a guards coach. So what is he going to do? What are you going to help him do to expand beyond that reputation?
Yeah, I think everybody dives into all of our guys, and I think we'll you know, obviously his expertise is on the perimeter. We'd be foolish not to put him there. But you know, as is you know, Chen moved around this year and did some different things. We haven't left guys in necessarily one spot. So you know, it's Orlando's expertise and his comfort was with bigs. You know, so but it doesn't matter that they may have a great idea to get, you know, O may have had a great idea to get Io a shot in a different way, even though he didn't coach the guard. So our guys have those freedoms to not just be stereotype to who they are.
All right, thanks, Brad.
Hey, Coach, I had one more for incoming players like Brandon and RJ, Omar Payne, where Ower Chin might have been the lead assistant on them. What's communication been like with them? Have you gotten answers from some or all on what they plan to do? How are you navigating that process?
Yeah, it's communication, and I think it's one of the things that, the transfer portal has given some young people an opportunity to explore. I'll say that these guys have been great. They knew what they were getting into. Assistant coaches are like frontline workers. They build the relationships, and in today's world, especially with the transfer portal, it's speed dating. And we don't have multiple years. And I think one of the things that excited me with this group of guys is we knew what we wanted to sign in when this school year started. We've continued to recruit those guys because we knew they fit, and so they felt very comfortable. And again, you just sure there's a certain transition, but the program is what it is, and those guys have all been great, and filling out applications and moving towards being here in June, and we're excited about that. And when we get staff hired, they'll build great relationships with them, and again, that's where the essence of the program and the vibe of the program hasn't changed.
Thank you.
Brad, I had one quick follow-up. Chester talked about how never winning a Big Ten as a player really haunts him still. I'm assuming that came up pretty early in your conversations. What's it mean to you to see that much out of him? I mean, that was years ago by this point, but it's still with him.
No, absolutely. That's what we all play for in this league. This is the best league in the country. And when you can win a national or a Big Ten championship, you start putting banners up, and then you have the ability to hang that and come back and be a part of that. That's special. And we strive for that, and he made that very clear from day one. That's one of his goals, and it's always one of our top goals every year.
Thanks, Brad.
All right, Coach, you did it. We are complete. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.